Good afternoon and welcome back to Restaurant Review. I'm your host, Bob Bockelman, and I guess everyone is pleasantly stuffed from Thanksgiving. And so how can you have a show on food? We've had so much of it. So we decided we would do something really strange and give you a food that is not considered something you'd think of eating after Thanksgiving, but it's a traditional food that is really important. And it's not one of our newer restaurants. It's been around for quite some time, but as you know, we throw those in the mix all the time. We're always looking around, and it's in one of our suburban parishes. So stick around. You're going to see a great restaurant show. And, of course, our other focus besides restaurant and the chefs are musical guests. We always love to bring New Orleans' finest talents to you. If you have any idea you'd like to be in the audience or suggest a restaurant or a musician or any other feedback, use our website, info@restrevue.com, or the phone number at the end, and the credits can also get to us. Okay, but without further ado, we're going to take our usual stroll back to the back of the studio and introduce you to our musical guests. Follow me. Okay, we're here with Ross HALLEEN. Welcome to the show, Ross.
Thank you very much.
Great. And Ross is, I've forgotten what he told us. Are you a native or are you from somewhere else?
No, I'm not. I recently moved down here from New Haven, Connecticut.
And what brought you down here? The music, I guess, and the food. Hopefully the two ingredients that we feature.
Those are definitely two of the things that made our decision to come down to New Orleans. My fiance got a job as an assistant professor at Tulane University.
Wonderful. Congratulations.
And so we were very lucky, and New Orleans has been
good.
Well, hospitable.
I think you found the weather a little bit more amenable, although maybe in the late summer you might not get used to it. You might be upset about that because it gets a little hot and humid. But anyway, we want to. Why don't you tell us a little about what you consider your style of music?
Well, the style of music I'm playing, it's kind of a trick question because I'm not really one for categories. Mm-hmm. But I guess I grew up on some early 70s rock and roll, like early 70s Stones and Rolling Stones and Merle Haggard, Johnny Cash, Sonny Terry, Brownie McGee, Mississippi John Hurt, and stuff like that. So, I guess it's kind of like a rock, country, little blues.
Yeah, a nice mixture of things. That sounds great. Well, folks, he doesn't have a CD yet out, and he's working on his website, which we will gladly tell you about, when that develops. But he does have some local performances, so in case you want to see him in the flesh and hear more of this, and I understand you're doing something at our favorite Phil Malone's, the Neutral Ground. Oh, yeah,
the Neutral Ground coffee shop is a great place. Philip, that runs it, has been very kind to me. That's the reason I'm here now. And so I'm playing there on the 7th of December at 7 o'clock, 7 to 8.
12/7 at 7 or 8. So definitely check him out. And we always appreciate Phil sending us over this great talent. Okay, why don't you tell us, Ross, what you're going to do for your first song?
All right, this first song is one of the first songs I've written in this genre of music, and it's a murder ballad, and it's called Devil in Disguise.
Good, take it away.
All right.
Was a poor, unforsaken child. I shot her down. While I did, I smiled. I didn't hesitate. I didn't even flinch. I took her out with my 30-06. Hard luck into trouble bear my middle name, 'cause she was a devil in disguise. You'd better watch yourself, folks take you for a ride, boy, take you for a here I stand, alone on Judgment Day. The hangman's noose swinging in front of my face. My soul is black and tired and I got no fire left. Take a good look at my eyes, you'll see nothing but death. I've always been head on all along, 'cause she was the devil in disguise. You better watch yourself, boss, take you for a ride, boy, take you for a ride. She was the devil in disguise now. You better watch yourself, boss, take you for a ride, boy, take you for a ride. Take you for a ride, boy, take you for a...
Wow, that was Russ Halleen, with a real shoe stomper, huh? We look forward to the next couple of songs. It brings back a lot of memories, but a whole new song and a great performance. Well, let's move on, and we told you that I know we're all got our stomachs well stuffed, and about now we ought to be really tired of turkey. But if you're not, I understand that maybe you'll be just casually staying at home. But we picked a great restaurant, and what ethnicity we decided to go with Italian, because to me, Italian's always one of your really basic foods groups, certainly one of the ones that we love here in the city, and it's always comfort food. So you've done a lot of comfort with the American style. Now we go to one of the oldest European cities and countries, Italy. And we ventured across our West Bank. Occasionally we do that. We mentioned that years ago across our Mississippi River, double bridges used to lead us to some really fabulous restaurants. Way back in the 80s, that started to decline. Well, there's been a resurgence. And this restaurant has been there a long time. It's actually been in existence a long time, not necessarily in its present location that long. But we want to tell you about today, if you can see, it's Cafe Diblasi, and we're privileged to have the executive chef and owner, Mr. Mario Diblasi. Welcome to the show.
Thank you, Bob. Appreciate it.
Great. Well, we appreciate you coming off. He's running Saturday night, and he's got a busy house to attend to, so we appreciate him taking off time and coming over here across the bank for the show before he heads on back. Now tell us, I know you're like at least second or third generation in the restaurant business. And
yes.
Tell us a little bit about your background, please.
Well, my mother is born in Italy, came to the United States after World War II. I grew up in a sandwich shop, honestly. We lived right next door, the old style storefront and home
residence
on the side.
In the back, on the side, right.
That's it. And I became acquainted with all the nuances of being around a lot of people and seeing them enjoy having a good sandwich or whatever, and we were located in between two high schools, between Berman High and Holy Name of Mary. I was born in Algiers Point.
Right. Now, you had your present restaurant in another location, but in your present location, and I think you said maybe 10 or 11 years in the...
Yeah, we were on the corner of Stump and Wright for 11 years.
Okay.
And we've been at the corner of Stump and... Stump
I was
and
going to say,
Holmes.
Stump and Wright is where you are
Holmes.
now.
I'm sorry, Stump and Holmes.
Okay.
Stump and Holmes for 11 years, and now Stump and Wright for 7.
Well, for you East Bankers who are not as familiar like myself as the West Bank, the easiest way to know is get off the first exit. Like you were going to the shop. There's a great shopping center over there called Oakwood Mall. You go run alongside of it and tear it down. First street after the end of it, take it. And when you get to the first big intersection, look to your left, you'll see a great little mall, strip mall there. And right in the corner of that is Cafe Diblasi, set in there perfectly centered in that shopping center. I think you're going to be well worth the trip. Of course, for you people on the West Bank, this should be a regular place. We're really seeing quality food in a independent source location, not a chain. And there's a lot of competition over there. We not only have a big casino boat, there's a lot of fast food, there's a lot of other stuff, but we really need to develop and research back to our family restaurants and our fine dining restaurants, and it's slowly coming back, and we want to bring that to you all so that you can learn about it. So this is well worth the trip for the quality of Italian food. You're really going to recognize some of these dishes. So without further, we do need to say they are dark on Sunday and Monday. They're open for lunch Tuesday through Friday,
right,
and then open for dinner Tuesday through Saturday evening. So very casual, laid back, don't have to dress up formal at all. Wonderful hospitality, truly a fun family restaurant. You'll enjoy it at any time you try it. Okay, let's go ahead, and we want to, of course, we're probably showing you some pictures of the restaurant behind us. How many do y'all seat, Mario, about?
Right around 110.
Wow,
we have a
nice
little.
size. I didn't think it was that large. He's got it divided up in segments, so it gets it some intimacy, so it still doesn't look like one big room. And he has his big bars escalated and divided off, but in the front on the side of the restaurant, so it's not intrusive at all. So he can not only cater to his bar guests, but also serve the necessary beverages for his restaurant. But let's go ahead and start taking a look at some of the appetizers, because he does have a lot on Italian menu, and we want to go ahead and feature. We always feature just 3 pictures, and if we have more time, we'll come back and talk about some of the others. But the first one we want to talk about is this oyster remoulade. And why don't you tell us about that? That's beautifully presented there for us.
Okay, that's our local oysters,
Of course.
fresh Louisiana, the best.
That's what we need, yes.
You know, and served on a bed of lettuce that is tossed with homemade remoulade sauce. There's a mayonnaise-based remoulade with the hint of horseradish and a little Creole mustard. It's served on little Italian crostini, garlic crostinis, and topped with our fresh remoulade.
Really nice. Oysters remoulade. A lot of people think only the shrimp remoulade, so here's a welcome change, and I think it was excellent tasting. Let's move on to the second one, because I'm anxious to get to another one, but let's go ahead and talk about the second one. This is always a favorite. It's stuffed mushrooms, beautiful bell cap mushrooms. Tell us what you stuff them with, and then look at that great sauce on top.
That's a seasoned crab meat dressing there. It's of jumbo lump and claw meat mixed together. I find your claw has a lot more flavor to it, but the blend of them together is exquisite.
It's a great idea, I think, because obviously the lump is very, very delicate. That's what most people want, and usually maybe get upset to have the lump, just see a crab claw. But I think the idea of mixing the two together gives a little different consistency and certainly a different sweetness of the flavor. So I think it's a real good idea to do that. Okay, now let's look at one on this. Is really a great one. We have a lot of vegetarians in our audience, and hopefully this might teach them. And that's actually, you call it a vegetable tray. And I think if we look at this, folks, and we'll talk about what a neat variety. It's all fried, of course, but each one is a little different. Let's talk about the different varieties of vegetables you're serving on that particular plate.
Well, fried eggplant and fried cauliflower and fried artichokes were all served at our table at home with plenty of Parmesan cheese and a lot of red gravy. And we brought this from my house, from my mother's home, and we developed it into an attractive tray that serves 3 to 4 people. And the fried artichokes are marinated, and there's an olive mix, our homemade olive mix that we serve with it, along with the tomato gravy. A great idea, folks. I mean, not only obviously you want that tomato or the marinara sauce to dip those vegetables in, even though they're great just plain like that with the great Italian cheese. But a real nice compliment is the idea of adding the olive salad, because it's nice and cool and crisp and really makes a nice touch to it. So I would certainly suggest you to order that particular appetizer. He does have a lot more, but for time's sake, we're going to go ahead and move along. If we have more time as the show develops, and we always go back, even if we don't have a picture, to give you a better focus on what the menu really entails. Now, of course, we get to my favorite category, and that's soups. And one of the soups that we need to do, I think, one, of course, the traditional, and that's your seafood gumbo. I have to tell you, folks, this is very well done. It's very traditional style. It's excellent. I was very, very pleased and very surprised, because I didn't expect a little Italian restaurant to be able to replicate the true New Orleans seafood gumbo, but he's done a bang-up job. Tell us a little bit about the ingredients and the presentation, please. Well, the ingredients are fresh local seafood once again. It's our shrimp, crab meat, crab claws, crab bodies, with okra, sautéed okra,
Okay.
cooked down for quite a few hours
It
to
sure
get that
is.
nice consistency that we
Gives it a
need.
beautiful consistency. A great roux. It was really a good roux. Tell us any more about the roux that you want to talk about?
Well, it's just a matter of being delicate with it and not getting it too strong, not letting it get too dark.
Yeah.
To where the roux itself has a powerful flavor to
Overpowers,
it.
right. I think he has a perfect match, folks, to the seafood and to the consistency. He really has hit the traditional type of seafood gumbo. So I would certainly recommend this, which normally, like I say, I wouldn't try in an Italian restaurant, but I think this was wonderful. Now, the next, which is always one of my favorites in Italian, and that's minestrone soup. Let's see, we have a picture of that. For those people, basically it's vegetable soup, but a little different. Tell us a little bit about your minestrone, please.
Well, no, the minestrone soup is a combination of beans and vegetables, more or less 3 or 4 or 5 varieties of beans.
Beans, right.
Some meat broth, a mirepoix that is cooked down, and another time, and also once again a soup that has to take a little time to cook and get the flavors to blend.
Let's start. I hate to say it, but I think a lot of people don't do justice to minestrone because I don't believe they put the multiple type varieties of beans anymore. I think they really take a vegetable soup and just doctor it up and call it minestrone. So tell us the 4 or 5 different types of beans, because they really do add a consistency and a great flavor to it.
Well, I use the cannellini beans, the white and the red as well. I use some Ford Hook lima beans, some fresh string beans, and some cabbage goes in there also to kind of bind it all together. And also for the meat base, it's a brisket. Brisket is good. It has a nice, wonderful flavor.
Sure does. Well, folks, that's always going to, of course, can't beat it with a little bit of Italian cheese on the top of it. Really excellent. Now let's look at one of the salads, and this, of course, you've got to have. And there's nothing better than a good Italian salad in an Italian restaurant. And I'm telling you, this is one of the better ones I've had in quite a long time. Let's see if we get that picture up, and please describe to everybody. I know I made a mess and stirred it up there before the picture. I should have kept it in its whole situation, man. I was so hungry for the salad, and like I say, it truly is delicious. But hopefully we can go over all the ingredients you've got in that great Italian salad.
Okay, well, we start with a combination of iceberg and romaine lettuce. I do a little vinaigrette of fresh extra virgin olive oil and lemon and Italian seasonings, in particular some fresh parsley and oregano. The olives are a combination of black and green pitted olives, lots of celery, some anchovies, pickled Italian vegetables, and finished off with the artichokes.
As I said, don't forget those artichokes.
No, the marinated artichokes.
Really
gotta
wonderful.
Gotta go.
I told him the only thing I would recommend, and not that it is perfect in its place, but I said as an option, throw a little, maybe as an additional time, throw a little prosciutto, one of the Italian hams. I think it would really bring it up one more notch. It is perfect as it stands, though, folks. So don't think you're missing anything. I just think it's an additional option. If you want to try it 1 or 2 more times, see if he will accommodate you with that. I think you would really enjoy it. Truly one of the better Italian salads I've had in quite some time. So I do recommend it heartily.
Thank you, Bob.
Okay, now let's go ahead. And again, we got a big selection of Italian dishes. And I had to pull out one of my favorites. And he does it a little different than everyone else that I've tried, which I'm really surprised and glad to see because the flavor was magnificent. But I think that wasn't the first one we're going to look at. I think the first one we're going to look at is truly a delicious cannelloni. These cannelonis were stuffed with crab meat. And as you know, tell us a little bit for those who are not familiar with cannelloni pasta is and how you had this great stuffing and wonderful sauce.
Well, it's the stuffing is creamed spinach stuffing with crab meat, of course, and lots of good blended Italian cheeses, Romano, Parmigiano, mozzarella, the combinations together to make the nice sauce that finishes it up. And we serve this as an appetizer upon request, but it's mostly as an entree where we serve 2 noodles as the portion along with a salad.
Right. And I'm telling you, folks, the delicacy of the crab meat, I had to compliment him on the balance between the saltiness of the cheeses, having 3 or 4 cheeses, that's a little salt there, the sweetness of the crab meat, and then the sauce. None of them went over the board. They just fused together perfectly. So it was really a wonderful treat. Like you said, I had the appetizer portion, but I can imagine the richness of this as an entree, too, would be more than sufficient, and probably might not be able to finish it. Really an excellent taste. Now, the second one is my favorite dish, and as I said before, it's fallen away from a lot of the restaurants, and mainly because of the preparation from the Italian restaurant. That's called broccolini. It's coming back, and a lot of people are doing it one way. This way, I think, was really unique and extremely flavorful. And you're going to get a couple of pictures of this dish because I truly enjoyed it. Let's go ahead and look, and I know you're serving it. Well, tell us what broccolini is for the people who are really not familiar with it.
Well, it's a round steak,
okay,
and it's pounded out. Right. And it's stuffed with ham and meat dressing and egg and cheese, and then it's turned around and rolled and folded and done into a little bundle, and then we tie it, brown it up real good in a skillet, and then go into the gravy and let it simmer nicely in the gravy.
And that's the price, folks. It's a lot of work to put it together. It doesn't sound like much, but it's excellent. And now, usually what I've had, like I say, there's 2 different ways. The most common way to do this, again, as far as I'm concerned, even though it's accepted as the true, authentic one, is strictly to stuff it with breadcrumbs. And even though it's okay, to me, it's flat. There's one other place I love that stuffs it with spinach as well as boiled eggs and pine nuts. Excellent. And the stuffing here, tremendous. So it really gives the flavors, marries the flavors. And then, of course, taking the trouble of tying it up the old way and cutting it before you serve it, slicing it. But, of course, cooking it down in that gravy. That is the key. It's cooking it in that red gravy, not just browning it and then serving the red gravy on top. The two have to marry, and that's the important thing. And now what was really surprising to me is I've never had it served with other than a red sauce on the pasta. Just the opposite. You're doing fettuccine noodles with a creamy base, almost like an Alfredo, but a little lighter, huh?
Right. Well, folks around our restaurant have become accustomed to us and being able to get what they would like. Instead of tomato sauce, we could give them fettuccine, or we could give them bordelaise. So they know that when they come and visit us at our restaurant that we will accommodate them and take care of them in their selection of pasta. So we do substitute on that.
But it is excellent, and I think the what's normally expected, the red and red, the red on the meat as well as the red on the pasta. Just the opposite. The combination of the two doesn't go astray at all. Really complements rather than works against each other. So I was very, very pleased. I was a little shocked when I first saw it, but very pleased at the taste and the blend of the two, and especially the broccolini, the wonderful ingredients and the time that he puts to it. Okay, now the next is a wonderful dish. Now, I have to apologize. Our pictures aren't going to do it justice, but what he's done... And I know you're going to say, oh, that's meatballs and spaghetti. Absolutely not. He calls it his Italian mixto, which, of course, for those who know what mixto means, it's a mixture of meats. So what you're seeing, of course, is and I think you use capellini, or one of the smallest pastas, which is a perfect choice for this. Wonderful red sauce. But tell us about all those mystery bobs on that sauce there.
Well, this is a selection of our a meatball, our homemade meatball, by the way, Italian sausage, and roast veal daube. Also, along with that, in terms of meat, we serve the pane veal and fried artichokes. And all of this goes, folks, to give you a real taste of a lot of different items that are on our menu.
Okay. Now, we do have a little more time, Chef, so we're going to go ahead and talk about a few more of the entrees that we haven't, don't have pictures, but certainly we can give the audience some ideas. And, of course, the one I think stands out and I wanted to do right away is the veal Diblasi, the signature dish. We really should have taken a picture of that. I don't know why we missed that one.
Well, I think the veal Diblasi is really one of our popular dishes. It's pan-fried veal, baby veal, and we finish it with a lemon cream sauce topped over the lump crab meat that goes on this veal, and it's served with a side vegetable and a salad and pasta, and it's real popular with the ladies. They enjoy it because it's not too heavy, and they get a taste of some veal, seafood, and nice light lemony type cream sauce.
And not only that, folks, he does veal, besides his signature way, 3 of the standard ways. And let's go over those briefly for those who aren't familiar. I mean, you must have heard this if you've never tried this. But there's, of course, the veal marsala, the veal piccata, and the veal tuscana, which I know is not something familiar with everyone. So let's go over those briefly, each one. Starting with the marsala. What is that marsala sauce?
Well, marsala sauce, the way we do it at the shop, is we start with a veal demi and dry marsala wine. Now, your veal goes into your skillet, and it's sautéed lightly with a little garlic, and you'll deglaze with the marsala wine. Let that evaporate to a point where your wine flavor is evaporated out of it, and then you would turn around and add your veal demi to it. Now, this, upon mixing with the meat juices in the skillet, will start to bind once you cook it down, and it's always cook it down until it gets to that consistency, a nice creamy finish. And of course you have your mushrooms in there, your porcini mushrooms and your button mushrooms that we throw in there also.
Great. I'm telling you, folks, you hear how great the Italian ingredients he's using in these dishes are really true, authentic stuff, which is very, very important. No canned stuff here at all. This is all fresh stuff and using the authentic. Now let's go over veal piccata for those who are not familiar. That's another great dish.
Veal piccata is very popular in our restaurant. It's a lemon butter sauce with your baby veal also. The veal is lightly sautéed, and we deglaze with a little white wine. And with the white wine and the butter that you cook your veal in, you get an emulsion, like a thickening of the 2 items, and they cream together, which when you throw in your capers along with this and a little twist of lemon to give it that tartness,
great.
You know, you come out with a real nice, delicate product. Not battered, just pan sautéed.
Pan sautéed. I think that's because the battered would be a little heavy for that dish.
Right.
But now this one, I have to admit, I really want to try next time I come in. That's the veal tuscana. Let's talk about that. It's presumably from the Tuscany region, named after it. But I love the ingredients on this one, please.
Well, peppers and onions and tomato sauce. You know, we do a nice cutlet and with some white wine and fresh marinara and all of your red and green peppers and onions, and it's simmered down a little bit to where your flavors also here blend, and it's finished with a little Asiago cheese, grated Asiago cheese on top, and we serve it garnished and served with pasta.
And for those, we have to have chicken. I mean, chicken has gotten so important to our health. He's got 4 different chicken sauces. So let's talk about it. Of course, he's got chicken Florentine, which hopefully most people know about. Chicken Parmigiana, that heavy stuff you really want to fill in. Chicken Rosmarine and chicken Portofino. Let's emphasize those last 2 because those are not the ones that normally you find. So not that those others aren't good, but let's talk about the 2 that will lure some of the folks there. So your Portofino, please.
Portofino, is a pan sautéed breast, and it's sautéed in olive oil until we get a nice crust on it, and it's deglazed with a little white wine, and we throw some artichokes and mushrooms, and finished with prosciutto ham and mozzarella cheese, and then cream in a little butter at the end on that, with some fresh sage in there to give it a little pungency there.
So you got some prosciutto that you can throw back in that Italian salad for me next
time. Be happy to, for anybody that wants it.
But how about the Rosmarino now?
Now, the Rosmarino is my mother's favorite, okay? Le Madre, my mother. She always cooked with rosemary when we were kids. She would roast the whole chickens, though. Right. This is 2 breasts that we put together here. And with fresh rosemary and garlic and olive oil and salt and cracked pepper. And they're just broiled until you get nice crispness on your crust. And to me, this one is my favorite on the chicken dishes.
I was about to say, I still would like to try the Portofino, but that definitely sounds...
You can try it the next time you come in.
Those 2 are definitely good. Now, for those, again, we don't want to have just the poultry. We of course, we talked about some of the seafood. But I see you have a stuffed pork chop. What do you stuff with your pork chop with?
That's a seasoned meat mixture and prosciutto and mozzarella ham.
Okay.
Stuffed, and we do it a little different though. We don't roast it. We batter it lightly in breadcrumbs, okay, and skillet fry it in a heavy skillet.
Okay.
All right. And once you get your nice crust on it, then it goes into the oven for about 10 to 15 minutes to finish cooking thoroughly, because it is a thick cut of chop. It has to be a double cut in order for you to stuff it.
To get the stuffing in.
Right. And then we just finish it simply when it comes out with some fresh lemon.
Okay, so that sounds excellent. Now, folks, he's got more, again, the menu is so extensive. He's got the traditional, all the parmigianas from eggplant. He's got shrimp parmigiana. He's got lasagna, of course, the real basics. You get pasta with Italian salad, veal pane and pasta, sausage and peppers pasta. That's got to be great. So he's got the whole list of all the things you would want. He's got some nice trout dishes, trout limon, which again a lighter dish with a little lemon in it. Trout de mar. What's your trout de mar?
Well, that's our fresh fried fish. We do fry, but you can get it sautéed if you like. But it's also with our nice lemon cream sauce with jumbo lump crab meat on there, topped on there, finished with the cream sauce.
Okay. Now, most menus have to have a steak. Not always Italians. Italians don't necessarily have to have a steak. So, but at the same time, there are some wonderful beef dishes in Italian. One, the Briciolone we talked a little bit about. They're using a round steak. But I see you've got Tournedos de Diblasi. Tournedos de Boeuf, French dish, is just magnificent. Tell us what Tournedos de Diblasi is, please.
Well, that's we do two nice 3.5 to 4 ounce medallions that are done nicely in a skillet till cooked to a temperature, and the sauce is of our mushrooms and porcini and button mushrooms with the cream marsala sauce, cream and cracked pepper, a little salt, and it tops it. They sit on 2 little Italian garlic crostinis, the fillets, and then the sauce on top of that.
Great. And last but not least, and we have very little time because we've got everybody musicians, but New Orleans is famous for its crab cakes, and you have one called Crab Cakes a la de Christie. Tell us about how you're doing your crab cakes, or how is she doing it?
Those are also pan-fried. Okay, they're battered lightly in Italian breadcrumbs. Okay, we top the crab meat with a Creole. This is an offshoot here, a little Creole type tomato cream sauce.
Oh, wow.
Okay,
That's different. That's very
good. And it goes on top of the crab cakes, which are stacked on some pan-fried eggplant, your crab cake, a blackened shrimp, and then your sauce on top of that.
Wow, that's a great tower presentation.
Oh, yeah, we get a little height on that one.
Yeah, that's excellent. Usually crab meats, the crab cakes, that's all you get, 1 or 2 crab meat with a sauce. But here you've got a nice variety, laying the eggplant, the shrimp, so really a nice real combination. Well, folks, you're hearing about some of the really distinctive dining at Cafe Diblasi in our neighboring across the river in the West Bank. Again, closed on Sundays and Mondays, but open for lunch for you all from Tuesday through Friday, and dinners from Tuesday through Saturday. We're going to come back to Chef Mario Diblasi to hear more, get into desserts, and hear a little bit more about some of the other items that he wants to feature. And but before we do that, we want to go back, to our musician who did such a bang-up job, and we're talking to Ross HALLEEN. And Ross, tell us please, what are you going to do for your second number?
All right, well, I'm getting pretty hungry over here listening to you guys talk about this wonderful Italian food, making me homesick too. But this next song is a little bit of a slower song. It's a love song, and it's called Empty Hearted Man.
I got tongue-tied a couple of times.
Before you, empty heart. I didn't mean to let you down. I guess I'll never forget. And I wouldn't be anywhere at all if I didn't have you. Fairly well, my soul was shaking. Sure I'll need it down below. You pulled me in, pushed me off, shone a light down on me. I didn't mean to lay you down. I guess I'll never forget. And I wouldn't be anywhere at all if I didn't have you. Got to give it before you get it. Keep the faith and you'll see. Don't you worry about a thing. It's gonna be alright, that's what you told me. So say your prayers for the empty-hearted man, 'cause he's down on his knees.
Yeah, that was raw HALLEEN, and what a nice raw ballad that was. Huh? A lot of passion in that song. That was great. What a change in that upbeat tempo he started with. Well, stay tuned, and he'll surprise us with another song at the end of the show. And don't forget, he's at the Neutral Ground on December 7th at 7 p.m. So check him out there in person. I think he'd give a real good concert. Okay, we want to come back now to our chef. We're featuring Cafe Diblasi on our WESTBANK in Orleans Parish, across from the using our double Crescent City connection over the span of the Mississippi River, right behind a big mall over there called the Oakwood Mall. And we're proud to have the executive chef and owner, Mario Diblasi, here. We've gone through pretty extensively through his entrees. We kind of shortchanged his appetizers. But again, in the sake of the remaining time, we want to always hit on some desserts, because that's always important, very important to the true, especially with an Italian food. And of course, you can't be all things to all people, and very few chefs are also bakers. Recognizing that Mr. Diblasi most of the time imports some of his Italian specialty desserts, but at the same time his true love, and we're really glad that he goes ahead and makes it home, and that's his tiramisu. And the reason why, you'll see, it's a completely different version. It's something I really had some very unique, doesn't even look, as you can see it as your normal tiramisu. It's not that heavy coffee powder or sprinkled or heavy whipped cream. So let's talk a little bit about it, because I found it very refreshing, and I'm sure glad you do make it in-house.
Yeah, the tiramisu is, in translation, literally means pick me up or perk me up, and that's because of the coffee that Ladyfingers is soaked in, that strong, that nice espresso coffee. But I do that same formula. I use mascarpone cheese. I use the chocolate mousse, and I layer mine a little differently than normal.
You sure do.
I do nice 4-layer cake, and in between each layer is some mascarpone,
Cheese,
some orange-flavored zabayon, and a little chocolate mousse.
Tell people, because zabayon it's really not well known, I don't believe, and I first tasted it way back in the 70s, and of all places in Quebec, Canada. Fell in love with it, and wish it could, even if it was a French restaurant, it was just excellent. Tell us about what orange sabayon is, please. A wonderful mixture here in this recipe.
I use egg yolks, and they have to be heavily beaten.
Right. Whipped a long time.
Whipped a long time and I use a little Grand Marnier and a little orange zest in there to give the nice orangey flavor. And they are, believe me, my hand gets tired whipping this thing up.
But then, go ahead. I'm sorry.
And you get it to a good thick consistency over a double boiler setup.
But folks, and then the addition of the little the chocolate pudding mousse, almost like a mousse, it was so light. We're talking about a great combinations of flavors. We get that orange, we get that chocolate, we've got that cheese, the consistency of the lady fingers, which many of the folks who make or sell at least tiramisu today don't even use lady fingers, and that is just the key to this particular dessert, to the consistency of soaking it up like a sponge, the sauces and as they blend through. So I'm telling you folks, this is a real treat. If for nothing else, it's worth the ride just to go over there and taste his tiramisu with a nice glass of wine after, or aperitif. We'll talk about it in a second. But let's show some of the other desserts, because there's nothing wrong with any of the others, but at the same time, Mr. Diblasi recognizes that he really puts his heart and soul in that tiramisu. I think we have for the chocoholics like myself, I think you have a great chewy chocolate cake. You want to tell us a little bit about that as a picture?
Excuse me.
Yeah.
Well, that's a layered chocolate cake, and it's done with ganache, chocolate ganache,
right,
in between the layers, and the thickness of the Belgian chocolate, and some chocolate shavings on the top. That is really, that'll get you going.
Right, really well. And of course, another one, which is nowadays cheesecakes, and in the old days were really only two styles of cheesecake: New York style, the cheesy, and the non-cheesy, the sweet cheesecake. So they were really two. Nowadays, there's all type of flavors, and he's taken one that is a native dish, and or at least the purveyor that makes these particular desserts, and he has a bananas Foster cheesecake. Tell us a little bit about that one, because that sounds very intriguing.
Well, you got to go back to the Brennan's family for the bananas Foster, I guess. But that particular topping there is over a nice, consistently tart cheesecake, and it's done with the Foster's, the bananas, and caramel type flavor on top.
Okay, great. Any other? Now again, that's all we have. Any other desserts that you want to mention that you present?
I do a homemade bread pudding, amaretto with amaretto sauce, and it's filled with currants, yellow currants, and pecans.
Wow, that's a nice.
And it's
treat.
very nice done with the amaretto sauce finished on top.
Excellent, excellent.
And I do flans from time to time.
Oh, flan! They can't beat a flan. Can't beat a flan. Okay, well, before we run out of time, we do need to talk about a couple of things. Of course, the important thing is you got to have beverages with a meal, and you do, as we said in the early part of the show, you do have a fabulous bar, fully stocked. To meet any of your diners' requirements, or anyone who wants to just come up to the bar and have a few drinks. But let's talk about specifically, because it's so important with regard to Italian food, especially your wines and your wine philosophy. What are you doing there in the restaurant?
Well, tomato sauces and Italian dishes require a good wine to go and to blend along with your dinner. The hearty reds, the Chiantis, some lighter whites with fish and seafood, although they say that that's not necessarily true these days in terms of having to have white wine with fish. But we do have a nice selection of Italian wines, and also California whites and reds, varietals from California.
Right. So that's important, folks. So again, and I think he puts a good emphasis on the Italians. Not that he's forcing it on you, but that's what it should be. I mean, why not complement your meal with a beverage that comes from the same origin of the ethnicity of the food. Okay, let's see. We want to go ahead and say one other thing. I know you say you have during the daily we have different specials at lunch, and also I heard early dinner, evenings. Tell us a little bit about that, please.
Right. We serve lunches, specialties, some local New Orleans style cooking, some white beans, some stuffed bell peppers for lunch, baked macaroni.
So mix it up, mix a little
and
American.
We put a little American in there for the hearty eater for lunchtime. And at night we also have Tuesday through Thursday early evening specials, and we present some new dishes that I'm trying to see and get feedback on how people enjoy them, and for a future maybe to be on the big boy menu.
Great, that's a great idea. There's nothing better than using that experimental thing where people are coming in earlier, getting a better deal on the price, and trying some things out for future dishes, so your menu doesn't become stale.
Right.
I think it's an excellent idea. Well, folks, we've been talking to executive chef and owner Mario Diblasi. His lovely wife is handling the thing and anxious for him to come on back because she's over there gnawing and waiting for those customers. So at the same time, we can't keep him much longer because his shop is opening up almost as we speak. So we need to get him on. But remember, they're dark on Sunday and Monday, so you got to find someplace else on Sundays and Mondays. But Tuesday through Friday, you have great lunch, whether it's directly from the wonderful menu we've talked about or some of the individual American specialties that he also offers as an alternative. And then, of course, for dinner, Tuesday through Saturday evening like tonight, great to choose some of these things that we talked about and giving you a lot of variety. So even though you still have been eating turkey and every 3 or 4, it's time to get out the house. And what better way than go from our truly American meal to one of the oldest and finest nationalities of food there is, and that's why we chose Italian for you. So I think this would be a great idea to get out, get the family out, reward everybody for doing such a good job and eating such a wonderful meal, but at the same time keeping it casual, laid back, nothing too formal. So this is a great place to try. Whether it's tonight or any time in the future, the Diblasis will be anxious to receive you. They've got a great hospitable staff, very well trained, and will help you in any way you can. Okay, don't want you to forget our shows here every Saturday from 3 to 4 p.m. We repeat on Wednesday mornings, early in the morning, and then I think it's 3:30 in the afternoon Wednesday, and again a late night on Friday nights for the hospitality people. They watch it and tell us, give us a lot of feedback. So we're glad that you've been with us for 3 seasons. It's our 68th show. We've really been putting them out to you, featuring great restaurants in New Orleans and great musicians. If you have any suggestions, contact our website or the phone number at the end of the show, and we'll be glad to take that into consideration. You can come and be in the audience if you like, or any other suggestion you'd like to have. We're anxious to see. I haven't booked next week's show, but once again, we'll be bringing you, I think, from what I've got lined up, some really new restaurants for you, and that's what we like to focus on because those upcoming holidays are coming for Christmas. That's the next holiday. Okay, well, without further ado, we're going to let you hear that great talent who's been entertaining us today, and his name is Mr. Ross HALLEEN. And Ross, can you tell us, what can you take us out with?
Well, all right. It's been a real pleasure being here, and after hearing about all that fine, wholesome food, I'm going to bring you back to the city of sin. A song about my hometown. It could be any town. It has a few bad neighborhoods in it, and this song's called Babylon. For that 219 to take me to Mexico. I ain't saying that you will not see me no more. I tell you, I'm walking out the door. Out here standing in the
gates of heaven, but they would not let me in. Long, long time since happened to be, and I'm paying for my sins. The road is so lonely and gets longer every day. Paying for my sins along the way. In that room of gray, I got to get away. Four walls are closing in, I'm screaming while I pray. In this room of gray, I got to get away. Down to the river of Babylon and scream while they pray. I know where I could get away. Down to the river of Babylon, that's where I would stay. The ice cold gold will run right through my veins. Mother Mary came and took me away. In this room of gray, I got to get away. Four walls are closing in, am I screaming while I pray? In this room of gray, I got to get away. Down to the river of Babylon, they scream while they pray.
Well, folks, that was Ross Halleen. We really appreciate you coming in, and we do have a couple more minutes. I was wondering if we can impose on you for another little ditty. Can you pull something out of the hat?
Yeah, I'll pull something out of the hat.
Go ahead and do it. Take us out. A couple more minutes. Thank you.
All right.
Well, I guess we got to stick with some original music here on this program, and I'd love to do some cover songs. I know a lot of them, but so I'm gonna do a song here I wrote, and name of this song is called Chicken Head. Ripped and shaking in a torn thread, you keep pushing to your dying day. Standing on the edge, you don't look down. Quiver and pray till you hit the ground. And don't you look bad no more. Don't forget to close the door behind you now. Watch your back, you're not really where it's at. Gonna have a heart attack. Time has come to trim the fat. Hit the ground running and you're running fast. Forgotten child of the past. My baby's got it, she's got it bad. Best little thing that I ever had, yeah. Woo. Wind is blowing at your door, it ain't coming back no more. There's a better way for you and for me. Wind is blowing at your door, it ain't coming back no more. There's a better way for you and for me. Ripped and shaking in a torn thread, you keep pushing to your dying day. Stand on the edge, don't look down. Quiver and pray till you hit the ground. And don't you look back no more. Don't forget to close that door behind you now. Watch your back, you're not really where it's at. Gonna have a heart attack. Time has come to trim the fat. Hit the ground running and you're burning fast. Forgotten child of the past. My baby's got it, she's got it bad. Best little thing that I ever had, oh yeah. is blowing at my door, it ain't coming back no more. There's a better way for you and for me. The wind is blowing at my door, it ain't coming back no more. There's a better way for you and for me. Don't look back no more. Don't forget to close that door behind you now. Watch your back, you're not really where it's at. Gonna have a heart attack. Time has come to trim the fat. All right, thank you very much.